What's your CEO's vision? Is it to save money this year? Is it to grow? Is it to have a better client experience? And we can help push them in the right direction and bring solutions to their attention that then they can take, that they get the credit for it. What we're finding is that when we've had a shared experience with people, because we've hired marketing companies in the past, appointment booking, you're still the person in the box. When we've had a drink, we've had some fun, we took a tour together, we had some laughs. Well, now that's a different level of relationship. And so our goal is not like, well, you got to have something now for us to work on. No. Ours is when you're ready and you need something, we're here to help you, and we can help you do it faster, better, and more successful than if you try to do it on your own.
Hey everyone, it's Tamara Thompson with Broadcast Your Authority, and I'm super excited for the next episode. I'm going to have my co-host, Heather Cox, introduce our next guest. Heather?
I'd love to. Thank you. So we have the pleasure of speaking with Nick Mulholland today, the president of Tech-Gofer. He was born and raised and still resides in Phoenix, Arizona, though he lived in Spain and has traveled to 37 countries throughout his 42 years. He attended Brophy College Prep for high school and went to ASU for college, attaining a degree in accounting and an international business certificate. In 2007, at the age of 23, Nick started his business, which rebranded to Tech-Gofer in November of 2019 and has expanded their portfolio to represent over 1,000 different technology vendors. He is married to his amazing wife, Rachel, and has two gorgeous, fun, and sassy girls. I love when people say their kids are sassy, and they love it.
Oh, they're so sassy. And my wife is really, truly that amazing. So that was no BS.
I actually named myself in my husband's phone, Your Amazing Wife. So whenever he called me, it says, Your Amazing Wife is calling.
Oh, I'm totally
So, true story, before we jump into it. When I met my wife at a club that no longer exists in Scottsdale, I put my name in her phone as Nick Awesome. And she still has it as Nick Awesome today. Yep.
You kept it that way.
Yep.
That is great.
That's true.
Tell us about what Tech-Gofer is, right?
Sure.
First of all, you have the jacket on, so you're wearing the gopher, the blue gopher,
really like that.
Yes.
which we love. We all love a good branding, good marketing.
Yep.
So tell us what the company does.
That's a very good question.
And why you started it.
So it's, let's see, my dad told me to go get a job when I was 16. And I ended up at an MCI WorldCom call center. I was flipping people's long distance service from AT&T. I learned a lot about telecom. Second job out of college, I started working for a commercial telecom company, found out about what was called the indirect sales channel. What that means is I can represent all the telecom providers. They don't pay me unless I bring them business. They don't pay me a salary. They don't pay me healthcare, but I can represent them. That seemed like a much better model than me working for one company that I could only sell one product set.
Right.
And so what's transpired over the 17 years that we've been in business, a lot of it has to do with the emergence of the cloud, but we offer the same value proposition. We represent the marketplace. We can take your requirements. We can help you build your requirements with our experts, with tools that we have, and bring back the right options for you to make the most informed decision.
So you can sell a variety of tech.
We have over 1,000 technology vendors.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
and your primary target is other businesses, I'm going to assume.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, our typical customers, organization that has between 100 and 3,000 employees.
Okay.
But
so like medium-sized businesses.
Yeah. But right now, I mean, we have an engagement with an 18,000 user opportunity. I mean, it's especially with Why the Jacket, we've been doing a lot of events. We've had some serious success and some fantastic new potential relationships come from them. And so I really don't know who's walking in the door. We've had CIOs from sports teams. We've had, large enterprise. And I jokingly say, I have no clue what's coming across my desk. Our product sets that we're selling are very interesting. So historically it was telecom, then it became a lot of phone systems. Now it's managed IT, cybersecurity, AI. So it really is an interesting business model.
And you've probably seen the evolution of technology over these years that you've done this, because like right now, all the buzz is AI, right?
Yep.
It's also cybersecurity. So how has that changed your company?
Yeah. So the original company was telecom based, phone and internet service. That's where we played. Built that up. And then when I turned 30, I left to go travel around the world for a year. Came back and realized that a lot of the referral partners that were phone vendors, that were this vendor, well, with the cloud, now we're in competition. So I had to figure out how to pivot the business, as well as more and more things became available via different distributor relationships we had. I'm one person. I know telecom. That was where I started. I didn't know all the different phone systems. I didn't know all the contact center. I didn't know all of the cybersecurity. I didn't know all the infrastructure. So I took a step back and said, okay, I want to offer the same value proposition. How am I going to be able to do that? And what's happened is we now have fantastic relationship with different distributors where they're providing us agnostic experts. So again, it's not Nick Mulholland that knows everything cybersecurity. I can bring in someone that knows 50 cybersecurity solutions, is completely agnostic, can look at your environment and say, hey, you're doing these things right. Because we don't always have to come in and say rip and replace.
Right.
That's a very different scenario when you bring in a vendor that's the opposite of the one you have.
Correct.
And so that's the model that we bring to the table.
Love that.
Oh, and also we get paid from the vendors. So we don't cost anyone's organization a dime.
I was gonna say, I love the way you've put yourself in the middle of the network.
The
Like
mix.
there's this spider web out there, and
Mhm.
you've got both your risk spread and your opportunity spread, so you can see what's pulling and what's going in which direction.
Yeah.
It's like a super flexible, smart way to build a business.
Thank you. It's, in all candor, I really didn't take the business very seriously for a long time. I was a guy that could sell telecom. That was
Yeah.
just the deal. I fortunately got involved with some entrepreneur groups and whatnot, surrounded myself with some just very driven, successful people that gave me some new ways to look at it of like, hey, I've had some success, but this is a very good value proposition. This is a good model. And if I can do the right things and get the right people around me, we can grow fast and we can always do the right thing for our customers. Another exciting kind of component of that is, I mentioned all those things that we can work on. And there's plenty more, but our goal with any customer is we got to work on something. Okay, your phone system's dying. You now need help. We help them with that. Well, now if they like the Tech-Gofer model and the way that we were reimagining technology procurement and support, well, now when it comes to cybersecurity, great. Let's bring in the cybersecurity expert guy to help you, or woman to help you. So it's the same thing. And, from both the profitability and also, honestly, what I've been really seeing is the depth of the relationships that we're now having with customers. When we're helping them with 2, 3, 4, 5 different projects, now they know that they can come to us. They trust us. We're always going to help them be successful. That's what we want. We want them to be successful because in our model, if we help them procure something that doesn't install and it doesn't work and they don't pay their bill, we're actually losing money.
Right.
So we put a lot of resources up front to make sure that doesn't happen.
And I love that you're an advocate for business.
I was just
Sitting
thinking that,
on the
right?
same side of the table. I know for me as running my office, tech is really overwhelming. It's not my space at
It's
all.
also a scary word.
Yeah,
Finances, money, tech
so for
sometimes.
me, finance is easy. It's the tech suite that
Mhm.
overwhelms me, and I'm like, gosh, I don't even know where to start. So for other business owners and thinking about their tech suite, what advice would you give them?
So being that, I'm in EO of Arizona, love it. It's a fantastic organization and group. I am around business owners all the time of different sizes, and pretty much across the board, most of them hate technology.
Yeah.
Much like, in all honesty, I hate
Changes
healthcare. Everything healthcare, it just seems like I don't understand this. It's complex. And so, what I would say is that a lot of times why they're frustrated with technology is they get to a certain point and they get an IT manager or they get a managed IT company. And then it just becomes this like ongoing cost, as well as they're viewing that, well, this guy's got to run all the technology while I'm doing this. And that's one person. Even a managed IT company, the way that they typically work is they specialize on a particular tech stack. So that doesn't mean it's the right one for you. It just means that that's the one that they specialize in.
Right.
So I see a lot of mismatching there. But going back to just that CIO, contact center director, they're one person. So when they're tasked with, they've got to manage the wireless, the cybersecurity, all of these things, that's kind of the same conversation I have with them. It's like, look, I got to that point in my business where I couldn't cover all these things. You're one person as well. Our model is to bring you experts.
Right.
So instead of them, and let's just use the phone system example, that phone system goes down and now all of a sudden they got to go shop it. That's a brand new fire. That's a brand new project. Researching,
And time.
Google search, all
Right.
that kind of stuff. Meeting with vendors that they probably shouldn't be meeting with. That's all wasted time, as well as if they're not using experts, They're ultimately making the best educated guess that they can and hoping that it's successful.
I just keep seeing, in Zoolander, the files are in the computer.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
Yeah. Well, and when you use the term IT guy, right, they might have a specialty in networking. That doesn't mean that they know anything about
Right.
mobile device management and all sorts of other things. So that's where, I think where we focused a lot of our marketing is that 100 to 3,000 employee company. Even though the enterprise companies we really can still help, they can be a little bit more difficult. They think they have the resources and expertises, as well as I see a lot of really bad RFPs written.
Mhm.
But those companies that I mentioned in that size, they're open to, hey, like I have a team of 2 people and we're managing
Yeah.
500 people. We have to learn how to outsource things.
Yeah, and RFP,
Mhm.
request for proposal for people that
Yeah,
might
sorry.
not know. Yeah, and those are really important too. Is to do to reset on those, go out and get new RFPs for vendors you're already working with.
Yeah, and I'll give you a perfect example. We see this all the time. Unless you're an expert at a particular thing in technology, how are you going to write a brand new RFP that is up to speed with all the new
Right.
technologies? Especially in the contact center space, cybersecurity, this stuff changes all the time. There's all sorts of new integrations. Cybersecurity, there's all sorts of new threats. So unless you are literally watching that all the time and working with vendors and being up to speed and watching trends, you could write an RFP that is 5 years behind. Government is a big bad one.
I love the way you've kind of positioned yourself as sort of trusted best friend and advisor
Yeah.
to these companies. It's a really friendly way to show up.
Mhm.
I want to come back to something you said earlier about, mentorship and not taking the company seriously. A lot of people in their early phases of growth, really can benefit from mentorship. Can you talk about not only how you found the mentors, but how you listened to them and how you kind of found what was helpful and not helpful? Just talk about how did you feel as a mentee, and
Yeah.
what advice would you have for other people who are looking for mentors?
So I ended up meeting what was potentially a referral partner. And he said, I like what you're doing. I think that you should go check out EO, which I did. I ended up joining a group that was called Accelerator based upon revenue. And once I got in that room and I had an accountability coach. And so it was me, other entrepreneurs, very different industries. And it was just, getting your numbers in line. That was probably the first one. It's like, yeah, I know what I'm making, but like actually having books, getting a bookkeeper, learning how to delegate, that sort of thing. And then I was lucky enough to, once I got into EO, get aligned with a couple of very, very good YPO mentors, which is kind of the higher level. And they've just been tremendous for numerous reasons. They give me a lot of different ideas. They're challenging me where I have people that work for me. Nobody outside my life is really trying to give me a hard time. The coaching aspect, I think, is really important. I saw a speaker, and his name is faulting me, but he's CEO coach. And he was talking about, who has a coach? Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Who else has a coach? Yeah. And I was like, maybe I should get a coach. And so that was my start to mentoring. And, not every idea that my mentors have given me do I take on, but I really think hard about them. And then also I've now been a mentor for younger, smaller businesses. And that was a really, really good experience. I'd love to be doing more of it. In fact, I'm a little bit too busy, unfortunately, right this second, but I would be listening to their problems, working on their stuff. I'd be giving them ideas. I'd leave and go, why am I not doing that?
Right.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? So
Well,
I think when you're giving
that's
advice to
interesting.
someone else, you're also giving
Give it to
advice.
yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
it's the give and take. I mean,
Yeah.
the more that I felt like I was giving, the more I was really receiving in hindsight. So I'm a big proponent for anybody that's a business owner to go get some type of coaching. The other thing that's been very beneficial of late is having an actual business system. So we just implemented a system called EOS. There's a bunch of them out there, but formatting and making sure that the business is dialed in and meetings are run well and all that kind of stuff. It's just some of those little tweaks that, as I mentioned, I just didn't really take it that seriously early on. But now that I've seen what is possible, it's we're in a very, very good trajectory.
Well, now you guys offer tech consulting, IT business consulting. Is that correct?
So the consulting that we offer is, so the mentorship piece, that's just me aligning. That's me aligning
Okay.
with another business owner or me having a mentor myself.
Makes sense.
The business system that we've implemented, EOS, that's a whole nother thing. We don't touch
Third-party
that.
company, yeah.
Where our consulting comes in is we'll talk to a CIO could be a contact center director, CISO, and it's talk about where you're at. Because what I think a lot of business owners that are already moving and they've got to hire a new CIO, this person's coming in and they've got to deal with this environment that they didn't build.
Right.
And so that's where I think we have a very different value prop or different proposition of coming in and saying, look, let's help you look at your entire tech stack. We can help you audit your entire tech stack. And this is another thing. What's your CEO's vision? Is it to save money this year? Is it to grow? Is it to have a better client experience? And we can help push them in the right direction and bring solutions to their attention that then they can take, that they get the credit for it.
Right.
And for people,
for their leadership.
Yeah. And for people listening who don't know EOS and business systems, it's from a great book called Rocket Fuel. Definitely recommend that you check it out. But, I know for a business owner, I'm great at coming up with ideas. I'm great at meeting people. I'm great at sales, right? But then I leave behind all these trails of breadcrumbs.
Yes, absolutely.
If somebody could just pick up for me, I'd have like a whole basket of fresh new cookies for everyone. And, I think as business owners, we want to win, right? Like, we want to do good. We want to have integrity, but we also want to win.
Right.
And the only way you win is with really good people on your team. And I think about myself as I should not be on the seat of the bus driving the technology suite.
Yeah, I know. That's not my core
That is something I want to delegate to an expert like you. And so for people thinking about their own business systems and what they're good at and what they're not good at is, hey, if this is coming up for you, how would somebody reach out and get a hold of you and potentially set up a consultation?
Well, interestingly enough, so obviously we have a website, tech-gopher, Gopher.com.
Wait, say that one more time.
Tech, TECH hyphen
She writes
Gopher, Gopher.com. A lot of good content on there. And candidly, we're coming to you a lot of times. We've done 25 live events in the last 18 months. We have another, let's call it 15 between now and November.
Wow.
And we started it in the beginning of January 2023. I wanted to do it, and then something called COVID happened, which that kind of shut down live peer-to-peer networking. But our events are geared for IT leaders in different cities across, again, the different titles that I've mentioned, to come and network with each other. A lot of times, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's just kind of true. A lot of IT people are kind of introverted. They don't have a big network. They're kind of do it themselves. So when they come to our events and they can meet their local peers, it's in a friendly, kind of fun environment.
These are events you're putting on.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I thought you were attending conferences.
No. This is Tech-Gofer events that you will see people in the jackets at.
Got it.
And we typically will do like a distillery or a brewery or what have you, but it's peer-to-peer networking. They get to meet our experts. So you're going to get to hear somebody that is a cybersecurity specialist with all the different, we'll call it doctorates, if you will. And then we obviously have some vendor sponsors. The way that we run it is that we have one vendor per technology. So that allows, our vendors to get a good chance if somebody's interested in contact center to talk with them or whatever. And, what we're finding is that when we've had a shared experience with people, because we've hired marketing companies in the past, appointment booking, you're still the person in the box.
Right.
And when when we've had a drink, we've had some fun, we took a tour together, we had some laughs. Well, now that's a different level of relationship. And so our goal is not like, well, you got to have something now for us to work on.
No.
Ours is when you're ready and you need something, we're here to help you, and we can help you do it faster, better, and more successful than if you try to do it on your own.
So,
Plus business owners are spheres of influence in a way. Like you meet people, and then we all ask each other questions. And so what happens is, if we've gone to your event, an entrepreneur, and maybe it's not for us right this second, but then tomorrow, inevitably, right, someone's like, "Hey, Heather, do you know someone who does?" Actually, I just went to this event, right?
And that's happening with a lot of the titles that we work with, is that we've helped them with one thing, and then they'll come to an event. Actually, I'll mention his name, Bob, who's one of our best customers. Mm-hmm. He now comes to the events with us. We fly him to different cities. He's got a jacket. He's a perfect example of our ideal customer, right. Which is he's worked with us on multiple projects, and he also likes drinking and golf.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah. No, so I love the way you're a network weaver, right? Which is great from a growth standpoint and customers and acquisition, but it's also putting you in the middle of what the trends are. So I'm curious, when you're hosting these events and you're talking all these companies and customers, what are they concerned about? Where are we going? I mean, is it is AI going to replace call centers, or what are the things that that sort of what's happening the next couple
Yeah,
of years?
and that's what's kind of
What are the
it's been
challenges?
really cool. So, again, you've got people coming and they're meeting their peers. So they're getting those ideas. What are you seeing? What you do, what vertical are you in? And this is what we're doing. This is what I'm seeing. Then obviously our experts, right? I mean, they're the ones that literally talk to all of the cybersecurity vendors on a monthly, bi-monthly basis to understand what's new, what's coming, what's scary. And then we're educating people at the events. And then the other thing that I think has been very successful is we've been bringing a lot of niche vendors that people have never heard of. So as an example, we just closed a very good deal, but it was a unique deal where they came to us, they actually came to an event. They said, look, we need this really specific AI within the contact center that we've talked with all the major players that we could find, that we Google searched, and we were on Gartner's Magic Quadrant. So we took a look at what they were trying to do. We took it to our network, which is a little bit of secret sauce, but I'll share it because it's on the show. When we've helped build that scope of work, our network is multiple distributors, multiple vendors that we represent directly. They're then sending us back, hey, these are the companies that you should look at. And we get answer. This is true. We get the following answers when vendors look at a scope of work they send. No, this is not a good fit.
Right.
Absolutely, it's our bread and butter all day, every day. And we get a maybe if we can talk to the customer and whatever. So who do you think that we put in front of our customers when their time is real?
Right.
Yeah. So that on the back end is how we're doing that. And again, I mean, it's taken a long time to build that process out. But now that the process is built, that's where I'm really comfortable. And interestingly enough, my team that we're growing, I don't even want them to be technical. I want them to build relationships.
Yes.
I need them just to be there, remind people of the good time that they had, keep in touch, right? Not hammer people, but be in touch. And then ultimately, when they come to us, bam, they know the process. They know what our network will go get, and they're good.
That be in touch part is so important because like you see salespeople who call and they're like, do you want to buy from me? Do you want to buy from me? Do you want to buy from me? Now I don't want to answer your phone call or answer your email, right? So, but they're probably like, hey, how did Danny's soccer game go? Hey, did Angela get that award you're talking about? So now it's a real relationship, it's an actual human connection there. And they want to talk to you. And it's probably, I find a lot of times those conversations are very little about business but you're still top of mind.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
And we've really been seeing that from the events, which has been exciting. And again, our pitch is not a immediate. We don't have quotas with the vendors. I think somebody had a question earlier when I was talking about how do we stay vendor neutral? Well, we don't have any quotas. I set up the business so that we do not have to sell any one vendor at any point in time. Our experts, again, we're fact checking what one distributor's expert is saying. So that's another way. And if anybody really wants to know, I've told them straight up, we will tell them exactly what we make based upon the recommendations. But where a lot of, I'll say my competition, because early on in the telco, there was people that would come in and out, trying to build their own business, but they weren't doing things right. And I always thought that if you do the right thing, and let's say that this seems small, but it happens. I could make 12% from this company and 10% from this one. Well, I'm going to push the 12%.
Be a bigger number.
Even though it's not the right thing. Because in our world, we're making where our revenue comes from is companies paying their monthly invoice every single month. So the 2%, who cares if you're going to keep it for 5, 10, 15 years? That's a lot more money. And we've earned a better reputation. We've got a better relationship than we tried to go make the quick buck. And now it didn't install. And now we really look bad. Or it installed and it blew up and it just wasn't right. Or they find out from somebody else that you sold them the wrong thing. That in our world would kill us. And so that's why we do what we do.
Earlier in the conversation, you mentioned about going to some of these EO events and you're like, do you have a bookkeeper? Do you have this? Do you find that? Because I often will tell people the first outsource is to be a bookkeeper, right? Getting your numbers in order. Because so you actually invoice people, like that's always an important part of it. Not you, I'm saying when you have a company. So would you say that tech is somewhere also in one of the more beginning stage people who really need to get their tech in order, so you're not playing catch up?
Yeah, so that's a big one. Certainly with companies, and let's just say 50 to even 250, even 500 employees, we'll get engaged with them, and their stuff's everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you've got a CEO that says, I want to scale. Well, when you're using all sorts of different things that don't talk to each other, or like, I mean, from an employee perspective, if you've got 16 different softwares or whatever that you got to use, that's a problem. You're less efficient, right? And so that's a lot of times like phone system, kind of the easy one. Hey, Do you use Microsoft Teams or are you using Google? Okay, well, if I can bring you a solution where your team is just using this one thing, that's less for IT to manage, easier for the users. So yeah, there's a lot of that we help with. Which again, it's the upfront, because if you don't have that in line, then again, the challenge is you're not going to be able to scale like the CEO wants.
And it's hard for people to also make changes. Like I know with we were thinking about changing the CRM, but we have a lot of customizations in our CRM.
That's a tough one.
And our I was interviewing new CRM companies, and my favorite vendor, who I now refer out because he was so transparent with me, he said, "You know what? I wouldn't change." He's like, I could sell this to you, but your team's going to hate you.
Yeah. No, and
your team's going to hate you. And so I'm like, you know what? Thank you so much for telling me that. That's a great person. That's a great entrepreneur.
And I was going to say, that's a fantastic, whoever you dealt with, keep close to them, because unfortunately the statistic is the average longevity of a tech salesperson is 18 months at their company. Most agreements, can be 24 to 36 or even 60 months depending. So that's another component. Is we talked a lot about we can help on the procurement and engaging the right vendor side. On the support side, we provide a success director over every project. So it doesn't matter if it's cybersecurity or if it's phone system, our guy is in there making sure that vendor is communicating, the customer's doing their job, which needs to happen as well.
Right.
So that again, it's a successful engagement and deployment.
What a great job title. You're just Director of Success.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to work with that
favorite
person.
title. My first is Shaq's Chief Fun Officer.
There you go.
That's my goal. That's my ultimate dream job.
Our sales guys are our client champions.
Oh, I love that.
Because they're not doing sales. Their job is, again, to build relationships and be a champion for that, whatever title we want to give it, to be successful. We want them to be successful.
So what's next for your company? I mean, you've done all this cool stuff. You've been doing it since 22, you said?
23.
23. Yeah. 2 kids, wife, family.
Yeah.
You've traveled abroad. So, I mean, I'm curious, with your international scope, is there an opportunity here to take this international? Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the vendors that we represent, they're already able to provide all the different services I mentioned in Australia, in the UK and whatnot. Where we're at right now is just solidifying a team to be able to run these different peer-to-peer networking events all over the US, which, again, I would say candidly, we're getting between 15 to 40 in a different, depending on the market. And then now we're starting to repeat in markets, which then it just gets easier. Next steps there is also, we're going to probably start doing some golf tournaments we'll get vendors and we'll get people that want to play golf and hang out and have fun. And then we're also going to start doing some educational stuff. So our experts will, we are starting a podcast. I'll get to that in a second, but when we can do different webinars, or we can do a lunch and learn, or those type of things where, or even, dinners where it's, we can go get 8 peers that we're going to cover a particular, like actually walking through what are the challenges that you're having. It's in a closed environment type of thing. So all of that is coming, but it's not overnight.
No, it doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. But
it's so interesting that your business model is really about the network. I mean, you could have that the product is important, right? But it's secondary to the network that you're building.
Yeah.
And this sort of marketplace. It's a really interesting approach you've taken.
Thank you. And no, I mean, I would argue, just because we are so spread out, we do have probably the biggest portfolio. But again, our secret sauce is that having a good portfolio, but not knowing how to vet the vendors and know who fits, you're kind of just, what ends up happening if you're doing that is you're just going to gravitate to a couple companies, and people will start to recognize that.
Do the vendors ever get into conflict or try to influence you to get promoted against one or the other? Do you allow them to connect and compare pricing or services or those sort of things? Or are you the central node of all the information?
There's definitely, I would say that the payouts can be a little bit different, but again, a lot of times my team will know what the percentages are, but if there's like upfront spiffs or whatever, like I kind of keep that information so that there is that it's neutral. Yeah. But like I said, my mentality's always been, let's do the right thing. Let's get this one thing in. They're going to keep it for a longer time. They're going to come back and work with us again. And that's what we're really trying to do is, in kind of doing some business scoping and where we want the business to go. I don't want 20,000 customers that are all internet services, that it's very transactional. Mm-hmm. We want
relationships.
Yeah. We want 1,000, 5,000, whatever number we want, but we've got those relationships. The people are dialed in. They trust us. They know that we can do it. And the other thing too, that I think has brought us a lot of goodwill, we'll say no.
Right.
if someone comes with, again, we cover a lot. But if somebody comes with a very specific software that they're looking for, we can't help. Because the last thing we want to do is waste their time or ours.
What's your podcast going to be? Is it be tech related, tech specific?
3 things related.
Okay.
So our ideal customer, as I mentioned before, technology decision makers that like drinking and golf. So the first little section will be, what are we drinking today?
Okay.
Second section will be a technology related guest. So it could be a current customer, could be one of our experts, it could be a vendor. And we're looking at not having salespeople from the vendor. It's going to be like an engineer or it's going to be an executive. So, you can have a higher level conversation than just somebody that wants to talk about how great their product is. And then last is just anything golf.
Anything golf?
Yeah, it could be.
I love golf.
It could be just about the players. It could be about a bet. It could be whatever. Funny video.
I mean, the first one sounds cool. First part sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like,
And then I think,
drinking. I love talking about what we're drinking.
yeah, and I did just convince someone that's
And I love golf.
been in the liquor industry for a very long time to jump in as like a guest speaker to kind of really delve into what we're drinking. So it'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you
can't
gonna
wait.
Are you gonna focus on featuring vendors?
Smaller. Oh yeah, smaller size companies too. That are just
company owners. Who's gonna be the people that you interview?
Yeah. So we're gonna have our experts. We'll have folks from different vendors that either we've had success with or that we think is a brand new, unbelievable product. And again, we'll probably have executives or non-sales folks because I think anybody that's going to listen to ours, they want to hear some of the nitty gritty because they're IT. They want to understand the tech, right? And then what I said, I already said our customers. Yeah. And then actually, I was thinking about having some pro golfers or
that'd be cool.
or golf pros. So
I was like, I know some.
They're easy to find in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Also
There is
Vegas.
Yes, quite a few.
Yeah.
Actually, I was at there's a event called the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America. It's a conference. It's either in Orlando or Vegas every year. And I was there one time. And there were these 2 like MIT nerdy guys who made a whiskey that through technology, they aged it 20 years overnight.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like that would be something that we would feature or
As I was
something.
saying, like, that's like right up your
That's
alley. It's like 2
Well, like
there,
I
right?
just saw an Instagram thing about if you put white rice in a cocktail, you mix it up, it changes the flavor of the cocktail so that it's less alcohol tasting.
Man, I can't wait for happy hour.
I know it's a time.
So I mean, yeah. So even if people are
Almost
just
there.
checking in for that first little couple
that's
minutes of that,
fun.
yeah, it's fun. So
And it's fun. It brings a fun aspect to it. Because again, tech can be scary. And I know that even like with the simple things like my phone, I'm like, I gotta call one of my kids over. I'm like, something happened to my phone, kid. Can you fix it? Because they didn't get it right. So I think it's a way to kind of like bring down the the vulnerability or like the scariness.
we want their, just like our events, we want them to be fun. We also want them to be some education. We want that to be a value. And otherwise, yeah, candidly, it's a good way to continue to get our brand out there and have some fun while we're doing it.
I can already hear myself say it now to my team. Just call Nick. I can't deal with
Just call
this
Nick.
right now.
I
Just call
know.
Nick. I don't want you.
And it's called Get in the Hole.
Get in the hole with Tech-Gofer.
I love it. I love it.
So fun.
We'll have that information when this episode launches.
Perfect.
Is there any last minute thoughts or information that you'd like
Last
to
words
share?
of wisdom that you'd
Last
like to share.
Work with experts. Quit trying to do things on your own. Whether that's technology related or other things, just do that. And otherwise, I just want to say thank you for inviting me. This was a lot of fun.
This has been a great time. We're excited to work with you on the podcast as well. And I hope you wear that jacket every single time.
Maybe not every time because
Maybe like
Yeah,
wash.
I'm going
it.
to feature some cool golf stuff. But
Yeah. Well, we're grateful that you came out and flew out to be with us today. And definitely those of you that love golf, drinking, and tech, definitely check out Get in the Hole with Tech-Gofer. And it's tech-gopher.com.
Gopher.
And you guys are on all social media platforms?
LinkedIn is probably our biggest one. Obviously, we'll have some YouTube stuff. And then apparently we're going to need to get some golf funny videos that we'll throw on Instagram.
100%. Yes.
From us playing golf. Because that has been really fun is, with the events, we'll typically fly out, we'll play golf, we'll do the event, play golf and fly home. So it's not a bad business model, right?
The bloopers reel will be good.
I was just saying the bloopers reel. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'll have to wear a dash camera or something.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Nick,
Thank you.
so much for coming out
Thank
today.
all of you too. Appreciate you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. And those of you that are watching, be sure to subscribe, ring that bell, listen to wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you in the next episode.